What's up, VC? This is Brad from H2Vinyl doing a contest video for Dan at Dan's Vinyl channel. Probably won't be Dan's Vinyl channel for very much longer. He is changing his name, and due to the fact that he hit 100 subs, congratulations, by the way, Dan. That's a tough number to breach. I don't know why I chose that word. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh, due to the change of his name, his channel name, you're not changing your name, channel name. Due to that change, he would like us to mention 3 to 5 albums denoting change, anyway, change, whether it be change in genre of the band or the artist has done, or maybe a change in the lineup of the band, which then could also bring about different style in their music. And then maybe even change that you have personally gone through your life and an album helped you with that change or brought about change in you. I have 4 albums. I found out about your channel. I've been watching you for 2 or 3 weeks now. Found out about your channel from Jeff Kempen. I saw his video entry to your contest, and I was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. So I watched your video, and then watched another video of you. I learned about you doing voiceover and that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. Kind of curious what voiceover work you do. You can mention in the comments, or if you want to make a video on it, that'd be kind of cool. Kind of just want to hear some of the work that you've done. I do remember mentioning, man, you got a great radio voice, and then later on found out that you did voiceovers. I'm like, well, that makes sense. Again, sorry to hear about your PC boot looping. That sucks. And I mean, I work in IT. I've mentioned this. Yeah, that's right. I said, well, you might want to check the RAM. You might want to check the power supply. But you're like, yeah, no, it's the mother. It was either the motherboard or the processor. And I'm like, oh, the 2 most expensive components. While I'm at it, I might as well tell you some of my woes. Today I get a text after coming off work. I get a text from a friend who I work with, and he's like, I just dumped soda all over my keyboard. And I'm like, he has a 15-inch MacBook Pro, and I'm like, so I called him. He doesn't answer me, and didn't chew him out or anything. I mean, accidents happen. I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose. And I was like, hey man, next thing to do, to open a computer up, make sure you don't turn it on, and turn it upside down, make sure that everything runs out of it, and then I'll take a look at it in the morning. Well, then I got to thinking, maybe it's a wired keyboard or a wireless keyboard that he dumped soda all over. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy those $50 things all day long. Not really, but you know what I mean. But the truth of the matter is, that's not the way it happened. I'm sure that I'm preparing myself for the worst tomorrow. So yeah, those are some of my woes as an IT administrator. Anyway, let's get into the albums. I have 4. You said 3 to 5. I have 4. One of them I don't have here. It's a CD, and I think it's in Iowa. So yeah, I'm just going to have to show a picture of it. I do own it. I also own the one before it, and I'll make some comparisons. So let's get into that. I'll cover that one first. And this is, my cat's going crazy in the background. He's making a lot of noise lately, waking me up at like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I think he just likes his voice. Just like I like your voice, Dan. Anyway, let's get back to the music. Come on, Brad, focus. I have such a difficult time with this. Anyway, That's not the subject at hand. The music is. So the first group is DC Talk. DC Talk, if you're not familiar with them, is a Christian pop artist, a trio. I'm not going to try it. Kevin Smith, Kevin Smith. I don't remember. Toby Mac and Mike. I really do think his name is Mike, but yeah, I don't remember. Maybe it's Mike Smith. No, it's Michael W. Smith. Never mind. Let's get back on topic. DC Talk started in, I think, in '87, and I was familiar with them '93. And then in '94, I was kind of reacquainted with their '93 CD, which was Free at Last. Free at Last was the first CD that I owned of theirs. Their second CD, which was their '95 album, I'll talk about a little bit later. It was the genre switch. But I didn't really mean to, but really this album, Free at Last, kind of helped facilitate change within me. So you're getting that as well. I might as well mention it. In the summer of '94, after graduating high school, so June 1st of '94, I dedicated my life to Christ, and really was kind of getting rid of the music I was listening to, because I felt like it was a bad influence on me. And it probably was. Now I listened to some of it. Gangster rap was the genre that, some of that I brought back in my life. But I mean, coming out of high school, that stuff was really kind of messing with my head, and I just needed some time away from it. And so moving from the G-Funk era and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and NWA and all of them to DC Talk was kind of quite of a switch for me, because moving from these artists that really were poetic, and not saying that DC Talk wasn't a bad group. They're very talented. It's just, man, their style was so dated. I mean, this album should have been released in the mid '80s, around '86 or '87, and so I mention that just because, like, DC Talk was so popular, but while I was listening to this, I think I was secretly kind of missing that old stuff. I'm like, why am I listening to something that just seems dated, but yet it was so, it was acknowledged so well in the Christian community. Well, in '95, they completely changed, and I felt like that was a very good change for them. And they went from rap or hip hop to rock and alternative rock. And yeah, it made a whole lot of sense. In 1995, they released their fifth album, I think. Don't quote me on that. Please don't quote me on any of this information. Just know that 1995, Jesus Freak was the name of the album. And they changed from the rap genre to alternative rock. And great change. They got, mass hysteria in the Christian community. Everybody loved them. I think they even, became pretty popular in the mid '90s, just all around. I'm not sure if they hit MTV or anything like that, but yeah, that was the first one. So DC Talk moving from hip hop to alternative rock, and then also the fact that they were kind of one of the groups that helped facilitate change in my own life. So moving on to the next one. This is Metallica's Black Album, their 1991 album. A lot of these albums about change, making a change in music or lineups, the interaction with that album is very visceral. I wouldn't necessarily say that this one was, well, I mean, there's visceral, meaning there was a lot of uproar, whether it be good or bad. And I would say that there was some uproar about this one because Metallica really did change their style. Not so much as DC Talk did, but I think a lot of people were disappointed in this album, though this was the first Metallica album I heard, and really the only Metallica album that I currently have. I'm going to be working on that at some point. This year I'm focusing on the blues, so at some point I'll buy their earlier work. But I've listened to their earlier work, and this is not their earlier work. This is a whole lot more polished. Polished meaning produced, and it's more thrash, not that quick metal that they once were, but this is more of focused. There's some even ballads on this, and Metallica changed their work, and they really didn't until recently return back to that old flair of theirs. And in fact, they even went pretty far off the deep end for a lot of people in the late 90s, early 2000s, and wouldn't say lost fan base, but people weren't looking at Metallica the same. So change in kind of the genre style, bringing on new people like me to listen to their stuff, but then also losing people later on as well. So there's that one. And how can I talk about anything without mentioning Queens of the Stone Age? Queens of the Stone Age specifically, and they've changed their styles quite a bit, and they've changed their lineup quite a bit. 2013 was the last time they had a major change in their lineup, but they started in '98, and I would say that they've had 7 or 8 changes in their lineup, from guest vocalists to people asked to leave. And this one brings about the change of a person being asked to leave. In around 2004, Nick Oliveri, who was the bassist, and not one. I've mentioned this before. Not 100% certain if it was due to just style change or the fact that he was abusing someone he was in a relationship with, whether it was his wife or his girlfriend. He was asked to leave by the lead frontman, Joshua Homme, the person who started the band. And that brought a lot of uproar because Nick Oliveri did lead on a lot of the songs, and he brought about a style that Queens of the Stone Age never had again. And their 2005 album, Lullabies to Paralyze, was a big change. This is a music on vinyl pressing, and music on vinyl, they press things that they like. And this is a great album. A lot of hits on this album. This album is through and through top-notch album, but a lot of people hated on this because, well, Dave Grohl, who played drums on their last album, Songs for the Deaf, he wasn't the drummer anymore. And it doesn't have Dave Grohl, and it doesn't have Nick Oliveri, and change of the lineup, change their sound, and a lot of people hated it for them. A lot of people hated that for them. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just moving on. Queens of the Stone Age. That's the third album of Change. And the fourth one is another first for me. This is their third album, I believe, and that is The Prodigy, Fat of the Land. The 1997 album. By the way, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. I looked it up just before. Gosh, I'm horrible. Keith Flint, that's it. I thought it was Keith Clint or Clint Flint or something. That would be weird to have a name, Clint Flint. Sorry for any Clint Flints that are watching this. Keith Flint passed away. I think committed suicide actually March 4th of this year. He was the kind of the front man, the vocalist to The Prodigy. Big loss. I'm not 100% certain what Prodigy is going to do, if they're going to keep going forward or not. But anyway, I was sorry to hear that news. I heard it a few weeks ago, and it was real, tough. Really tough. Really tough to see that. But Fat of the Land, their first two albums were more of, I want to say like a hyper techno, just kind of all over the place. And this one slowed it down some for techno. It slowed it down some, but then it added this visceral buzz to their music. And really the first thing I'd heard of them, and I even remember going to their earlier work, I'm like, no, I don't like this. I feel like their songs go on forever. This. And they never returned to what was before this album. And so they've always kind of changed their style some, but really everything points back to this. So this was kind of their focal point for all of their work. And again, people either loved this album or hated it. And I loved it. I thought, moving forward, great stuff from The Prodigy. But a lot of people, when they heard this, they're like, I wish they were making their old stuff again. And I get that. So there is the fourth. Again, Dan, congratulations, man. Hope you enjoyed those. Congratulations on hitting 100, and I never know how to properly end these videos. So here's to many, many more. Hope to get to know you more and more as we are able to interact through each other's videos and comments, and possibly, maybe through Facebook or anything else as this, relationship just kind of morphs to what it is. Hope you're doing well, man, and hope you're enjoying all of these videos for your contest. Congratulations again and hitting 100. That is a tough one to hit. So way to go, man. Keep it up, the awesome work, and hope your computer gets fixed soon. And everyone, hope you're listening to Great Vinyl, and we will talk to you next time.
To get an honest perspective of Villains, the new album by Queens of the Stone Age, I've put together a focus group. I'll be asking their older albums their opinions of the new release. Let's get started. So, Songs for the Deaf. I wonder if you've listened to the band's new album, Villains, and sort of what's your opinion of their evolution?
I'm not listening to it.
Why?
Because Nick's not on it.
Thanks for stopping by.
Where's Dave?
Lullabies to Paralyze. So I want to get your opinion on the band's new album, Villains. I don't know if you've heard it, but they've really evolved a lot since you were released in 2005. Little Sister was a great song.
Yeah, Burn the Witch, too.
Yeah, Burn the Witch was on that album.
Yeah, Medication, Long Still Goodbye, Tangled Up in Plaid.
Yeah, you had a lot of great tunes.
I never had have a lot of great tunes. Have. And I'm not gone just because Villains comes out.
I wasn't insinuating that you're being replaced by Villains.
You know, the whole point is that all the albums are different, okay? They're not the same, it moves. That's the point.
Thanks for stopping by.